Working late, no matter how much we try to avoid it, it happens to all of us. And working late means eating late. But the sometimes unavoidable late night meal doesn't have to mean nuking that frozen pizza or settling for a little bowl of cereal. Today, I've got a fresh and delicious meal that you can make with basic kitchen staples any hour of the night. And it'll be ready in under 30 minutes. Hi there, I'm Rachel Ray, and I make 30-minute meals. Now that means in the time it takes you to watch this program, I'll have made a delicious and healthy meal from start to finish. Now the next time you find yourself at the tail end of a long night of work, you don't have to worry about going to bed hungry because I've got a menu that is custom made for recharging your batteries. I'm going to make a knockoff of gnocchi. Now, do you know what gnocchi is? They're like little potato dumplings. They're really soft and delicious. I usually keep them on hand in the freezer, but today I'm going to make gnocchi out of just using stale bread. I'm also going to top it with a lovely tomato and basil sauce, and I'm also going to scramble up some veggies and eggs with some pesto sauce, and I'm even going to serve up an ice cream latte to wash it all down. Sounds like a big rustic feast, right? How good of an idea is this? A feast you can make any hour of the night with stuff we all have on hand. Awesome. I'm preheating a big skillet here. You want to use one with deep sides, guys, because we're going to make our bread gnocchi in here and our sauce. Got another skillet here, but I'm going to hold off on preheating that. It's a non-stick we're going to use for the scrambles. We're not going to get to those for a bit. I'm going to grab some butter out of the fridge because everything's better with butter. And a problem for me. I always have like 3/4 of a loaf of day-old bread in my house. Problem no more. It's going to fuel this meal. Now, I'm going to start by making a place for that bread to go as I chop it. So I'm going to coat the bottom of a pan with some EVOO, about 3 turns around the pan. Then I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of butter. And this is a lot like making, homemade croutons, like for Caesar salad. Maybe you've done that. I am a big late night eater, and I love rustic food. It's my favorite thing to just combine whatever I have on hand on the counter and in the cupboard, throw it in a pot, come up with something. And I'm always up working late at night. I have a really full day, and then I get home, and I have to sit down, go through the emails, write, whatever recipes I'm working on. I'm often up after 12, and unfortunately, they say it's not that great for you, but I eat in the middle of the night all the time. So that's where this recipe came from. Just, picking up different stuff around the kitchen, throwing it in a pan. Now, I've got Italian bread here, and I'm going to use 8 good chunks of it, about 3/4 of a loaf. But you can use sourdough, French bread, chewy farm bread, even whole wheat bread, whatever you have on hand. And, if you get some really quality bread down at the grocery store, isn't it great how we can get great bread right in the regular markets now? Anyway, if you have leftover loaves all the time like I do, and they seem to stack up on you, because, I'm that kind of person that brings home a different loaf 3 or 4 nights that week, so I'll have like mountains of bread by the end of the week. It keeps great in the freezer. Just pop it in the freezer. Then you can make this little simple recipe anytime. Now, you're going for big bite-sized pieces here. I mean, bite-sized if you got a mouth like mine. Big chunks otherwise. And you just chop them and drop them right in, and they start to toast up and get very yummy. You don't want them to get as toasty and crispy as you would a crouton. I got a lot of butter in the pan. I'm going to keep the heat very moderate. Keep an eye on that because I want it to be soft, like the little potato dumplings. I don't want it to be, super crunchy like in a salad. And, this is a rustic dish. You know what rustic means? Your pieces don't have to match, and nobody's going to come knocking at your door to make sure everything's chopped the same size. So by all means, be sloppy and messy about chopping it up. I mean, it's late night. You don't need to be focusing on, your chopping skills. At least I like to make a lot of rustic food because of that. I'm a very sloppy chopper in the kitchen. And, you don't have to be out working late to enjoy this meal. I know lots of people who come home late just from being out, hanging out with their friends. This is a great meal to go to instead of making, calling in an order to the diner and eating a bunch of fries with gravy at midnight. This is actually very healthy and fun. It's a delicious menu. Okay, now once I get all the bread in there, I'm just going to crank the heat a touch. It's on about medium heat. I'm going to season it up now with some salt and pepper. It smells good already. Just bread and butter, a little olive oil. Rock and roll, delicious. Now I'm gonna go ahead and preheat my second skillet so we can get started on the veggie portion of our menu, the veggie scrambles with eggs. Now again, with these recipes, just like you can use any kind of bread in here, you can use any kind of vegetables in here. It's more about learning a method really than, how to make it Rachel's way. You can mix and match whatever you have on hand. I've got a red bell pepper here, so I'm gonna get that chopped up with some onion. Get that going in our other skillet over there. Let me just clean up my crumbs here. Got a big crummy mess. Hit the GB with that, grab a different knife. Let's see, I'll go with a couple of little baby onions here. Now again, you can change up these recipes and use them any old way you like. And this menu, it would be great for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's super cheap. So if you're living on a tight food budget, let me tell you, this is a great go-to recipe. And it would even be fun to entertain with if you want to just have your neighbors over late night to watch a movie. Here's some food you can make out of literally scraps or whatever you have on hand in the fridge. That's enough. I'll just have a little bit of onion running through the egg, I think. A little bit of EVOO in the bottom of this pan. Now, you don't want crazy heat under either one of these pans. They're both just moderate. EVOO to coat the bottom. And we'll get our onion going in there. Well, I want a little bit of a sizzle. I'll crank it up just for a second there. I love that, smell when the onions first start to bubble up in the oil. So good. That's a great thing about cooking for yourself, even late at night. It makes you feel better. This is really soul food, too. It's very rustic, very hearty, kind of comfort food. But cooking up anything for yourself late at night is a mental payoff. It's a way to recharge your head and your soul, not just fill up your stomach. Whereas if I just order up a big diner meal, I feel guilty, I can't sleep, I get indigestion, it's terrible. And up in the country, when I'm at my cabin, we don't even have late night takeout anything from any way. Now this one, I just stack up the pepper. I pulled out the seeds and kind of gutted the pepper over the garbage bowl. Then I just stack it up, slice it up, twist it sideways, run your knife through it the other direction. And there you go. I gotta take a quick break. I'm just gonna get the rest of these veggies in the pan. I'm gonna start chopping up lots of garlic for the bread gnocchi. Meet you right back here. It's gonna be an all-nighter, but a tasty one. Welcome back. I'm Rachel Ray, and today I'm working on an all-night kind of a meal. The kind of meal that you can go to when you've worked really late or you've just been out with your friends until the wee small hours and you need something hearty and delicious. Now, I chopped up a few cloves of garlic over the break. That's going to go in here with my bread gnocchi. Now, gnocchi is like pasta. They're little potato dumplings that you boil up. This is just stale bread cooked in butter and olive oil. How good does that sound? Instead of making pasta and getting out a big pot in the middle of the night, I just put the stale bread in a pan with some butter and olive oil, keep tossing it around, and then I add in a ton of chopped garlic. Now we're going to make a little sauce to go along with that. Also, I chopped up some veggies. That's going to be for my special veggie and egg scramble with a little bit of pesto sauce at the end for a big finish. So we got a lot going on here in just a couple minutes, and it's going to taste a lot better than diner food, right? Okay, I'm going to grab some eggs here. What do I got left? 8 or 10 eggs. Couple eggs per person, you'd want to figure. And I'm also going to grab some tomatoes from my beautiful sauce here. Ooh, you know what I forgot? My canned tomatoes. Need a little combo action here. And I'm going to grab my coffee, too, because I'm going to make an ice cream latte for later. Put that down there. I'm going to get some water going for that coffee right now, because I got one of those pour-over coffee makers, You put the little filter in, you fill it up with coffee, and then you pour hot water over it. So I'm going to fill up a kettle here and get that going. Pop a lid on her. And let's move the veggies up there maybe and put this kettle back here so you can still see what goes on in that skillet. Come on, baby. There we go. That's under just moderate heat. Remember, everything's just grooving at a slow pace here. You don't want to crisp the bread too much. You don't want it to get too dark too fast. And the veggies, we're not going to get to them for a few minutes, so they're just hanging out over low heat. Now, to this bread gnocchi, I told you I was going to make a quick and easy tomato basil sauce to kind of wrap around the bread. I am going to do a neat thing with the consistency here. I always have plenty of fresh tomatoes on hand, but you can totally make this same dish without using any fresh tomatoes. For me, it's a consistency thing. I really like the combination of the tomatoes, even with the skins on, just sauteed up nice and fresh in the pan with the crusty bread. It's just delicious. I'm going to gently seed them a little bit, though, because they are so full of liquid. Of course. And then I just pile them up together and run my knife through them into nice thin slices, or you can chop them, whatever you like. And then I'm going to let these work along with those potato gnocchi. It is that to me in my head. I'm going to let that work along with our bread and just let those start breaking down and heating through. Before I mix the tomatoes in, I'm going to take the opportunity to season them up with a little salt and pepper as well. We got some on the bread. We haven't gotten any on our... You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do 3. That doesn't look like enough fresh tomato to me, so I'm just going to do 3. Anyway, we got some salt and pepper on the bread, but we haven't mixed in the tomatoes yet. We didn't season those. So I like to always season in layers, and then when I check it at the end, it's usually pretty right on, you know? Smelling good in here? Does anything smell better than just plain old bread and butter and garlic? Oh, yum, oh. Okay, now once I get those in there, I'm going to want to give them a light toss here just to get the tomatoes down to the bottom of the pan so the heat can start working on them. I'm also going to open up my tomato sauce. I'm going to hold off putting that in. I want those tomatoes, the fresh ones, to break down a little bit first. I've got 2 8-ounce cans, or of course 2 cups of tomato sauce here, which is nice because it's slightly sweet and light. I'm going to hold off on this, though, because if I put it in right now, it's going to get all soaked up and dried out before those tomatoes are done. And then the big finish for this, tons of fresh basil. Yum-o. Now, if you don't have fresh basil on hand, I frankly usually do. But if you don't, you know the pesto sauce we're going to use later in the eggs? You could just stir a little bit of that right into this sauce, and it would be equally tasty and delicious. And it would taste like, of course, basils and tomato. But you'd want to hold off. The same time you put in fresh basil, that's when you put in the pesto sauce as well. Now, out of the freezer, I'm going to grab some peas. I have a little box of frozen green peas here. I'm just going to add a handful of them to my vegetable scrambled eggs. Again, you know, the vegetable scrambled eggs can be any combo of vegetables you like. I like nice sweet peas in with the eggs because they really pop and they're so delicious with the nice basil pesto. So I'm going to just let those get a chill off. So I just throw a handful in and we're done. And I'm going to get cracking the eggs here. Again, you want to figure a couple of eggs per person. And you know, this is a really affordable dinner. 2 really affordable dinners that you can make all week long. Eggs are great for dinner too, not just for breakfast. So you're learning a couple of recipes here that will hopefully be really versatile meals for you. I got to take another quick break. Just going to keep cracking the eggs, get them seasoned up. I'll meet you right back here.